All right, guys, let's talk about a more difficult example with ellipses, and we're going to try to talk about it in the middle of a chaotic learning area with some preschoolers and kindergartners and everybody. Okay? Yes. Yes. Okay. Búscalo. So here's the clues that we're given. We've got an equation. We're looking for the equation in standard form. It gives us the foci and it gives us the covertices, and these are not they're not nice looking. We've got square roots, adding and subtracting from a number, etc. So let's give it a shot. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plot these numbers. Okay? Sí, estoy haciendo video. All right. So when we plot these numbers, I've located my foci, and I've entered also my co-vertices. All right. It's important to note the first clue is if I'm given the two vertices, then in reality I've been given the major axis. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plot that major axis at y equals 3. All right. I know that the ellipse has to be symmetrical about that axis. So it's going to be wider than it is tall. All right. The next thing is if I look directly in between the foci, I should find the center. So I label the center. Búscalo. So I label the center, and the center is at -15, 3. All right, so there we go. That helps me with h and k. All right, next thing, I'm going to look at my standard form. That's x minus h, quantity squared, divided by some quantity a squared, plus a y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. All right, and I could go ahead and fill out my h and my k. Silencio, que estoy haciendo video. All right, I could go ahead and fill out my h and k, but let's go ahead and figure out a squared and b squared.
It's like a 4?
Yes, it's like a 4. 14 has a 1 and a 4. Yes, 14. Find it on your paper, 14. All right, so next up, I'm going to look at my formula for foci. A squared minus b squared equals c squared. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and fill out the information that I know. So I don't know a squared because I'm going to call a squared the larger of my two values, the major axis. But I do know that b is the square root of 51 because from my center to my foci, it looks like I'm adding or subtracting the square root of 51. All right. With foci. No. Okay, no, it looks like from my center to my foci, I'm adding or subtracting the square root of 93. So I can fill out the square root of 93 for my c value for my distance to foci, right? I can fill out square root of 51 for my distance to the covertices because it gives me square root of 51 in the information. So really all I have to do is solve this equation for a squared. Good job, Pep. So I have a squared minus, and the cool thing about these square roots is if you square a square root, you just get the number underneath the radical. So I really get a squared minus 51 equals 93. That's a very simple equation for me to solve. I basically get that a squared equals 144. So that helps me solve for a. A is going to be 12. What does this mean? This means that now I have found the distance between the center and the distance to the vertices on along the major axis, right? Which means I could actually go ahead and locate my vertices. So I go from the center, which is at -15, 3, and I'm going to add or subtract 12 to each side. All right, so I'm going to go, let's see, -15 minus 12. I'm going to go -27, 3, and then I'm going to go at -3, 3. And those should be my edges. Those should be my vertices because I just located that length for my major axis. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my information into my standard form. So that's x plus 15 squared because, again, my center is at -15, divided by 12 squared because I'm going 12 units in each direction, plus y minus 3 quantity squared because I'm going up or down 3, right? Or no, because my center is at 3 in the y. And then over square root of 51 because I'm going up square root of 51 and down square root of 51 equals 1. And you'll see that I get the right ellipse. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this. And I'm going to say, to simplify my 12 squared to 144 and my square root of 51 quantity squared to a 51. And that's the ellipse. So that is how you find, in the midst of chaos, that is how you find the equation in standard form of a tough ellipse.